Everyone, it's Othania here with Create Your Future. So today I have a subscriber's question, and we're definitely going to get into that and start breaking that down. So let's see. It's a long email, so I don't know if I'm going to get into every single thing word for word, but basically what she's saying is that um, she's doing the right things. She's affirming. She's saying that I literally have a mental picture in my imagination of me stepping into the version of me, into this version I'm now identifying as in a loving, blissful, healthy relationship with my SP. Um, I literally can feel his presence, his voice. It's so vivid. But to let go of doubt or resistance in my 3D, because I obviously have to live in my 3D. I think of how I would feel, act, be if he was in my 3D. Content, calm, happy, desired, at peace, stuff like that. This also helps me be present in the present moment while embodying the new identity. So my question slash thought is, why do I have a fear this could be coming from a place of lack? It's so weird. Like I feel I'm going through a process of finally detaching and in the knowing. And I know once you understand, once you know how to become the version of you that already has that desire, it has to show up because that is the identity you are now embodying. It has no choice, and that is correct. But yeah, sometimes I'm also reminded in the 3D that he's not here yet. So to be present and to stay in the knowing, I'm making sure in the 3D I'm aware of what I'm focusing on, centering myself, and probably just fighting with my ego. What do you think? I'm just making sure this isn't coming from a place of lack. I do affirm I am enough. Everything is unfolding perfectly. I am safe. I am secure. I am chosen. Anyways, what are your thoughts on this? And there's another part that's next that we'll get to after that. But I just want to start breaking down these parts first. Um, so when you asked, why do I fear this could be coming from a place of lack? Okay, so if you find that you're like, okay, I'm doing my affirmations, I'm doing everything, I know that I know that if I'm in this embodiment, then this has to happen. So that is still coming from a place of lack because you're doing it for you're doing it knowing that you're going to get this outcome. So in a way that is you still being focused on the outcome, which is why it's you doing the right thing, but still at the same time you feel that thing of lack and behind, like underneath everything. Um so for you to even question it a lot or keep wondering why is an indication that you're still not in the embodiment of the end state, because in the embodiment of the end state you wouldn't want to be bothered with kind of knowing. Um so let's see another part that I can break down. But yeah, sometimes I'm also reminded in the 3D that he's not here yet. Yeah, so I'm just going to be honest, like you're going to notice the lack of something that you want that is not there at some point, right? You don't want to keep noticing the lack, but at some point, especially when you have a lot of resistance towards something, you're going to notice the lack of it for a little bit until you start um, shifting into a state where you're starting to think different about yourself and the situation. Um, Everything is unfolding perfectly. So now what you want to do is just basically give up I don't want to say give up like manifesting your person, but you want to just give up um noticing the lack of. And that is a process, and you just do that by constantly talking to yourself and reassuring yourself. You have to the whole point of this at the end of the day, right? Whether you get your SP back, whether you get the money, it's always to reassure yourself. And the thing where we mess up is that we're still looking for SP to reassure us. We're still looking for the 3D to reassure us. We're still kind of waking up and looking at our phones, and but honestly, at some point, naturally, you're gonna get tired of that too, and you're just gonna stop doing it, and you'll just naturally shift. You're gonna naturally shift either way, but the reason why some people stay in that period of not having what they want longer than others is because they still haven't snapped out of noticing the lack that it's not around. And if you're still doing things just because you know if you do it in the back of your mind, you're going to get this result, and that's still sitting there, you're still not in the embodiment of having it. And you get out of that by not caring to have it. But that's naturally a process, because when you're with your SP and you're literally in the embodiment of you that's in the committed relationship, you're not caring if you have it. So if you're still noticing the lack of, you have to just keep going. And you can't like be in panic and be in too much anxiety trying to feel like trying to find like some magical thing that's just gonna take it away in that second. Um, because you have to work through, not you specifically, but just you in general. If this resonates with you, you just have to keep working through um, those opposing thoughts and the notice of lack. And you just do that by continuously reassuring yourself that you don't need any validation. You don't need any 3D validation. You don't need any validation from your person. You don't need any validation to feel good about anything. You just gotta talk yourself out of looking. You gotta talk yourself out of needing. You have to talk to yourself instead of always wanting to talk to your SP and have your SP talk to you. You have to talk to yourself in new ways, because when that person comes back, and they will because you're affirming for them, when that person comes back, but you still have not worked through feeling chosen, you're going to repeat the same cycle. And then you're going to notice the lack again. And then you're just going to keep going until you realize that everything comes to you when you genuinely stop looking. So when you say that you're noticing the lack, right? It says, I don't think you said you noticed the lack. Let me see what you said exactly. You said, you'll know you're truly in an embodiment because you won't come from a place of knowing that you have to be in an embodiment to get it. I think I said that right. When you're truly in an embodiment, you're in so much of a neutralness. You're not caring about you having to be in an embodiment to obtain anything. It's going to be so natural when you are in the embodiment that how you thinking, how you thought about this when you wrote the email, you won't have that same feeling state, if that makes sense. Um, my thoughts on this in general is just that, and if you do feel yourself detaching, that is great. That is great, because that is just progress that you're moving to your desired reality, because the point is to be at peace, right? The point is to get rid of all the thoughts that are working against you and get rid of the anxiety that's in your body from those racing thoughts, right? The point is to get rid of that and be a version of yourself that feels calm and peaceful. So if you are feeling yourself being detached, go with it, embrace it. start smiling, start getting happy. Like when you feel yourself like, oh my God, like I didn't think about my SP for like 2 hours straight. That is amazing. That is amazing. When you start noticing those periods of you feeling lighter and lighter, and you start noticing that you don't care to have your SP presence around, you don't care to know anything about them, that is amazing because that is you that is in the confident, trusting relationship with them. You get what I mean? So your reality is day by day, as long as you keep embracing that detaching energy, as long as that feels good to you and it feels lighter to you, you want to keep embracing that and you want to keep riding that wave and not keep riding that anxiety lack wave of where is he? Oh my God, what is he doing? Why is he not talking to me? I'm noticing that he still isn't around yet. You got to start reassuring yourself more and more. Every day, more and more, you're becoming your best friend. We keep a lot of the times, when we're stuck in that fear-based mindset and thoughts with our person, it's like, you know, we're keeping ourselves there. And we don't want to do that. So keep reassuring yourself that day by day, you are only getting closer to your desire. And that helps combat the way that you thought of it. Because the point is to wake up every day more and more and not care. And not care, not saying not care like, oh my God, I don't care about my SP, but not care about needing their validation or constantly needing their communication to feel emotionally regulated. Because if we're waking up looking for a toxin and we're like, oh my God, like that is not a balanced emotional standpoint that you want to be with somebody. Because you still have to also remember that, um, telepathic communication is always happening, right? So if you're feeling down in the dumps about somebody that they're not communicating with you and you're noticing the lack of that, um, what do you think that is doing to the person in relation to that in your mind, right? So we just also have to be aware of that too. You want to just imagine that people, especially the people that you're thinking about, can pick up on what you're doing mentally. They can, read that. That will help keep yourself in check with your thoughts more. And you'll be like, you know what, I don't need to look for this person or need to I want this person, but I don't need this person because I'm okay. I'm fine. I validate myself. I'm good. And when he writes me, which I'm sure he is, that's when he writes me, and everything's gonna be cool when it happens. But until then, I'm gonna have fun. I'm not gonna keep searching and looking for him because I'm gonna keep doing that. That doesn't feel good. And you know what? I'm tired of being in that state. I'm tired of doing that. Talk to yourself like that because that's how I talk to myself, and I'm not there in that state anymore. And it gets easier with time and time. So sometimes I'm reminded in the 3 day that he's not here yet. Okay, and you know what? You just keep going because it's gonna be a day when you wake up and you're naturally just gonna stop. And you don't want to resist, and you don't because what you resist persists. You don't want to do things because if you do it, it's gonna get that reaction. Yes, but at the same time, that has to be genuine, right? Because it's like imagine if there's two people that are going for the job and um the one that really 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 wants the job might give off more of a nervous energy, uh and then you have one that's a little more confident, a little more um stern, and that one gives off a different energy, right? So it's like you always want to come from a place of confidence, is what I'm saying, as much as you can. Um, the second part of this is also says, also, I know this is my logical mind and manifesting isn't logical, but I think it can be hard to consider myself self-sufficient because my parents are still paying my rent at 36. How do I let go of this belief? Or how do I be okay and at peace with this new belief I am self sufficient? Because let's just be real. Technically, I am not. I don't know. Just curious to hear your perspective. Okay. Okay. So you have to keep visioning yourself being on your own more than you're telling yourself that you're not self-sufficient, because the let's just be real, technically I am not. Like, I do understand that you're telling me your situation at this time, but you have to make sure that that story is not the one that's banged into your head more than telling yourself that you are sufficient. So you have to keep going. It's um every thought that you have that is telling yourself that you're not something and you want to be that, you have to keep telling yourself you are that more than saying that you're not, in order for the reality of you having that to push out. So you have to just keep being aware of what you're saying pertaining to everything that you want to manifest. You have to be aware of the story that you have pertaining to everything that you want to manifest. So there is also a little bit of guilt and shame that you have surrounding the paying rent, your parents paying your rent at 36. So, what I noticed in my experience is what works like magic for me is you want to turn things that you want to change into acceptance. And the way you can do this for this is, instead of being like, my parents are still paying my rent at 36 and like feeling kind of like bummed about that, you can say something like, you know what, my parents are paying my rent at 36 and I'm blessed. Because I bet you there are people around the world that, wish they could have their freaking parents paying their rent, right? So you have to start turning the perspective. You got to start shifting your perspective. And then when you shift this perspective in a subconscious, things start, magically taking their turns. So you want to start accepting where you are and being at peace with where you are. Like, you know what? My parents paid my rent until I was 36. I'm very grateful for that. But you know what? 37, 38, I'm on my own and I'm grateful for that as well. Like, be appreciative for that journey. Be appreciative for your blessings, because that was your blessing. And maybe once you stop seeing that in a negative light, you will finally have that shift, because when you are self-sufficient and you are in your new home where you are paying your own bills, and you did everything, you manifested your new home, and you're sitting down in your living room looking around, right, and you're like, oh my god, I did it. And you're going to be grateful for your parents. You're going to look back and be grateful for the journey instead of looking at it negative. So you want to just always already think from the mindset of being grateful for the journey, because that's going to kind of push you in that reality where you have to physically have that as an experience. So I would suggest you, day by day, more and more, just accepting and being at peace and being grateful and looking at your parents and being very, very grateful for them, being great, very grateful for your blessings. You are wealthy and fortunate. And that's how you want to see that. And look forward to being on your own, and start thinking about, the furniture you're going to buy. Start thinking about, how you always pay your bills on time, things like that. I think will definitely help. Um, so just to wrap everything back up, uh, how do I not focus on my SP's absence? You have to keep reassuring yourself because manifesting an SP back is literally being whole and complete within yourself. And when you're whole and complete within yourself, you're having better thoughts about yourself and you're having better thoughts about people and connection to you. That's how you know when you're whole and complete in yourself, you're not noticing the lack of someone's presence because you're fully present within yourself. And then when you're fully present within yourself more and more, you notice that you feel lighter towards the things that you felt a lot of anxiety towards. And that's when the things can come towards you because you're starting to think different about it. You know, you're not waking up with the, oh my God, did he text me back yet? Oh my God, okay, now let me get back into the affirming because I know I'll have to be in the embodiment because when I'm in the embodiment, that's when it happens. And, you know, but it's good to know that, yes, right? But getting in the true embodiment, it's not needing anyone else's presence because you're so present within yourself. And then when you are so present within yourself, SP has to come back because they reflect you. So he's just reflecting you. If you're still noticing the lack, then he's still noticing the lack also somewhere in his mind that makes sense to him about the connection. You understand? So we always have to remember that SPs are a reflection and it's a direct reflection. Okay. So keep going within, give yourself grace. If you keep noticing lack, don't beat yourself up because listen, like I said in the beginning, you're gonna notice lack sometimes, and that is just part of this SP journey, especially when you have um, a certain resistance, a level of resistance towards them, and a certain when you notice lack towards them, right? If you're noticing lack, you're gonna see more lack for a little bit because you're still noticing it, and that's still in your mind to kind of look for what's missing, right? So keep going because obviously you got it going. You know what to do. But like I said, naturally, it's you're gonna just gonna be the new version of yourself. You're gonna shift. You don't wanna keep doing things because you know this is what's gonna get you the result because that is also gonna keep the results a little shaky because you're not in the true embodiment of just being and truly having. And when you are an embodiment of being and truly having, your thoughts are automatically better. Because your thoughts come from the state, your mental state. Your state is just a mental state of mind. And your mental state of mind is what you think. So, and what you think manifests when you dwell in it. And you tell the subconscious this is what you want. Um, so you feel like you're also going through a process of finally detaching and knowing, yeah, that's good. I said when you feel the detachment more and more, embrace that. Embrace it because you don't want to keep being the version of self that feels the anxiety and lack. So if you're going towards the detachment, embrace it and keep going towards that and keep doing what you're doing. Because at some point, you're just going to be smack dab in your experience and it's going to be right there. So everything is unfolding perfectly for you still. You are secure, you are chosen. Definitely keep that up. And um, see yourself as self sufficient. No more, let's be real. Because, when we're in a new state and we're thinking new about ourselves, there's really no let's be real because everything shifts. You'd be surprised. Laws change, things change to fit because things have to fit that new state of being for you. Even if it's a state of being you don't want to be in, things have to match that state of being. Um, so for your SP, remember that You're just getting whole and complete to back to yourself. That's how you get rid of the lack of noticing your person is not around, because they're just reflecting you. So if you're noticing the lack, they're also noticing the lack. There's something, you know, in them that is, because it's a reflection. They're reflecting you. So to get out of that, you have to get yourself, got to reassure yourself that no, my presence is the only presence I need. And when I talk to SP, I'll talk to SP. That's fine. That is putting you more in a state of being whole and complete in yourself. And when you're whole and complete in yourself, you have better thoughts towards your person. You're not needing them or things like that. You now start thinking like, you know what? I'll talk to him later. I'll call him later. Or he'll call me later. We'll talk when we talk. Like it's more free. It's more coming from a loving place instead of from fear, right? And then when you do that, they have to reflect that. And then that's when they start coming in. So a lot of people would think that, oh, my person, like I always say, is coming back because they see I'm moving on. It's just, no, they're just reflecting this new version of you that has shifted. I mean, and it's still up to you if you want to take them back or not, but they're just reflecting your assumptions in your mind. So if you're noticing lack from a person, that means that you need to start feeling whole and complete again within yourself. And you do that by start reassuring yourself, no, you know what, everything's going to be okay. And I'm going to hear from this person at the right time. And when I do, everything's going to flow perfect because I'm secure and I'm confident now. It has to. It has to reflect this new me. So you want to make the goal of being the new you without needing SP's communication, because as soon as you shift, the communication comes in without you having to do much. So I pray that I explained that every which and every way I could have explained that, because, it's simple, but when your mind is a little hard to control, especially if you're like kind of new to understanding how to deliberately manifest the things you want, or if you've been doing this for a while and you feel like you're still in a place of anxiety, so it's like I do my best. If you find me like repeating things sometimes, it's because I really want people to understand in every way possible what's going on and what's happening. Um, so just to wrap this up. So my question thought is, why do I have a fear this could be coming from a place of lack? It's because it is. When you're with your person in a committed relationship and you're whole and complete within yourself, you're not feeling a lack, because that is the true embodiment of having it. And that is what you want to embody. So you say stuff to yourself like, you know what? Okay, I noticed the lack before. It's not happening from this day on. And you move forward as much as you can as a new person. And every time you find yourself going back to the old story, you just tell yourself, oh no, from this point on, this is how it's going to go, because every second is a clean slate. And you just want to ride that wave of what you want as long as you can in your mind mentally. And that's how you keep your desired reality, an actual desired reality. So I pray and I intend that this subscriber has gotten some aha moments and can now move on in her reality as a better version of herself, so she can automatically shift, which will automatically present a new version of SP that will communicate with her, because she's whole and complete within herself and not noticing the lack. Because noticing the lack is making your person in some form notice the lack if you keep making that a daily habit, because now that has become the momentum. And when you're in that energetic place and in that state of mind, your thoughts will, be rocky and can waver in that place. So you just want to keep um, You know, feeling the resistance, the absence is definitely a normal thing. Um, I don't want to say it's a normal thing, but it's what people go through in this process, um, usually. So you just don't want to be hard on yourself. Keep giving yourself grace. Keep identifying as the new you. Keep going, and just always keep telling yourself, no matter whether my SP is my husband or not, I'm always whole and complete within myself, and that is dominantly who I am from this day forward. And just keep going, and it is bound to happen. And when it does happen, comment down below, um, or email us, tell us. But I honestly think that you're doing a great job with keeping up with your affirmations. Um, the feeling of resistance is weird, yes, and it feels, but you're naturally just gonna shift. And when you do, your SP is gonna reflect that. You're not gonna care about him calling or when. You're just gonna be so into your new self that he's gonna be so into your new self too. So you're not gonna have these fears and feelings of lack and things like this. So just keep going. And if you're in the need of coaching, you want to remove third party, coaching for confidence, attracting more wealth, whatever it is, um, there's a link for that in the description box below. And Create Your Future does have a free course. If you're interested in that, there's a link for that in the description box below as well. So until next time, guys, see you.